But what I was not expecting is all the hurdles, all the heaps and valleys that God was going to take me through just to prove my trust and my faith in Him. God has tested me. When I tell you God has tested me, God has pushed me, God has done the things, And He was like, do you still trust me? While He's out here pulling me by my ears, pulling me by my hair, me going through the thick of it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Spark Growth with Cass, where we talk everything growth, mindset, and Christianity. Yes, I've added a new segment to my whole channel, basically because I have decided to give my whole life to Jesus. So hence I've added the whole Christianity part, because I will be doing a lot more videos on my journey in Christianity and on my journey to following Christ. So I hope you guys will join me on this journey. It's not going to be a perfect journey, but I hope we can all grow and learn together. So it's very weird how we all are easily able to trust the people that we can see in our lives, right? It's easy for me to trust my boyfriend. It's easy for someone to trust their girlfriend, their wife, their husband, their friends. We are even so gullible in life that we are easily trusting to people that we don't even know. The taxi driver, the pilot, people at the bank to hold our money, to hold our life savings. We trust people so easily, but for some reason, we find it difficult to trust God. Why is that? Why is it that we can't trust God for the life of us? Why is it that anytime we are put in situations where literally the only person that can help us is God Himself, we are like, I don't know, God. I don't know if you're going to come through for me. I don't know if you're going to do this thing. I don't know if you're going to do what you said you are going to do, because it's a bit rough, hey? I don't understand why it is for us humans. Why is it so difficult? For me, myself, it is a difficult thing, right? It is, especially the past 2 years. The word God gave me, which is the word that I'm going to center this whole video about, is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which perfectly says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. When God gave me this word, right, I thought that it was going to be easy. I thought, okay, trust in the Lord with all your heart, because God gave me this word so clearly for this new transition and this new phase in my life. And for me to do things that I knew that I can't do by myself. God was like, trust in me with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge me, and I will make your path straight. So I was like, okay, that sounds easy enough. That sounds doable. It sounds like something I can do. Let me trust in God. But what I was not expecting is all the hurdles, all the heaps and valleys that God was going to take me through just to prove my trust and my faith in Him. God has tested me. When I tell you God has tested me, God has pushed me, God has done the things, And He was like, do you still trust me? While He's out here pulling me by my ears, pulling me by my hair, me going through the thick of it, going through the most in life, This past 2 years has been the most difficult season. I think I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos. The past 2 years have been the most difficult period and season of my life. The wilderness season, that isolation season where God is literally developing you and building character in you so that you can make it to the next phase of your life, so that you can level up, is the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life. I am still going through it. But to get back to the point of trusting God, why is it so difficult for us to do that? Why is it so difficult for us not to put our faith in God, not to put our whole trust in him. He did the whole entire earth in 6 days, but we failed to trust him. God has come through for us so many times in our lives, more than we are able to count, but you are still failing to trust him. Why? I don't understand it. Like, it makes no sense why it is so hard to trust him. But hence he says we need to trust in him with all our hearts and lean not on our own understanding, because our way of thinking is not the same as God's way of thinking. He says in his word that my ways are not your ways and my thoughts are not your thoughts. And he also says that our hearts are deceitful. So for us to trust in our emotions, to trust in what we are seeing, is not going to get us far. Sometimes we wonder why we are stuck, why we are trying to move forward, but we can't move forward. And that is because we are not trusting God to steer. The same way you get into an Uber, you don't know the driver, and you just allow the driver to get you to your destination, is the same way we need to be with God. We need to allow him to drive the car and drive us to our destination without relying on our own understanding, without relying on the things that we are seeing right now. Hence, that word that says walk by faith and not by sight is so important in our trust and in our walk with God. Because there are a lot of times that God is going to want you to rely on him and his word and his promises to you. Even though your life looks like it's in shambles, it looks like things are going downhill, but God is like, trust me. He's literally like, trust me. And it's not easy to do. But the only way it will be easier for us to trust in him is if we get more into his word. If we understand the character of God. And the only way we can understand his character is through his word. Is through knowing that God has come through for his people, for his children, time and time and time again. No matter how long it took. Because our time and God's time is not the same time. 1,000 years is like one day to God. And it feels like a lifetime to us. Like, it feels like, God, when are you coming? I'm dying. And God is like, relax. Calm down. I'm coming. I got this. Trust me. That's why in his word, when he says, whatever you ask for in prayer, you must believe that you have received it. Don't let doubt creep in. That's what the devil does. He will let doubt, fear, anxiety, worry creep in. Hey, you know your bills are due at the end of the month and you have no money. God said, believe. If you have asked him, you must believe in your heart and confess it with your mouth that God is going to come through for you. Regardless of what you see, your bank balance might be on minus 89 or minus 1,000 or however. Your bank balance might be in shambles and you know you have bills that are due. But trust that God will sustain you, because I know he's done it before. God has gotten you out of so many difficult situations in your life. Those are the things that should be your anchor. Those are the things that should hold you up when you are going through a difficult season. Those are the things that should make you remember that, hey, God got me the last time. I know he has my back again this time. He saved me the last time when I got myself into nonsense. But he got me out. I know he's going to do it again. Have that faith to believe that, hey, I've gone down on my knees. I've asked God, I have bills due 1, 2, 3, 4. Please help me in the name of Jesus. It's done. Believe it in your heart. When worry creeps in, tell that devil that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are more than an overcomer. You are more than a conqueror through Christ Jesus. Speak life to yourself when those negative thoughts creep in. And tell God that, God, I trust you. Confess it with your mouth boldly. As you believe in your heart, confess it with your mouth. And remember that, it might take a long while before God comes through for you. But you must also remember that sometimes we have big dreams. We have big hopes. We have big goals in our lives. But we expect it to happen like this. Let me tell you one thing. If God does not feel like you are ready to get to the next level, guess what? You won't get to the next level. Because God does not want to give you something that He knows you cannot handle. Because you're going to lose it all. And that's not the type of God that we serve. We serve a God that is there to give abundantly, to give us the inheritance of His kingdom. And in order for us to grab that inheritance, He's going to mold us. He's going to develop our character. He's going to make sure that whatever we do, we are doing it and we are ready and prepared for that position and that seat that He's giving us. So yes, sometimes it sucks that we have to wait. Sometimes it sucks in the waiting, in the wilderness, in the isolation season. It sucks. But look at the Israelites. They had to spend 40 years longer than what they had to spend, because they were complaining, they were murmuring, they were like, take us back to where we come from, but forgetting this is what they asked for in the first place. They wanted to get out of slavery, but now, because now you're in the wilderness, you're like, this is not what I asked for. I thought I'm going to the land of milk and honey. I didn't think I'm gonna have to go through heaps and valleys to get there. But God needs to build our character. God needs to mold us. God needs to make sure that when we get there, we're not going to just mess it up. We're not just going to give it back and make whatever process that we went through a waste. God doesn't waste any season. He does not waste anything. He doesn't waste our time. And anytime you've gone through a difficult season and you look back and you're like, oh, this is why God took me through that, you realize that, if God didn't do what He did, I wouldn't have been where I am right now. So trust in God. Trust that the plans He has for you is to prosper you and not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. That is the type of God that we serve. We are not serving a God that is out here to play house or to play imaginary lives with us. He's not a God that will put us to shame. He's not a God that is going to put a dream or a goal in your heart and not fulfill it and not make it come to fruition. He might just take you through the jungle to get to the beach, to get to, your dream vacation destination. But He'll get you there. Trust in Him. The same way you trust in the people that you can see that can't do anything for you that God can do, is the same way you must trust in God. Another reason why God will take us through the heaps and valleys is to make sure that we draw ourselves closer to Him. Because sometimes success, sometimes life, whatever situation you may find yourself in, may draw you away from God. God will sometimes put you in a situation right in the middle of the wilderness just for you to call out to Him, because you haven't called out to Him in a long while. So He just wants to bring you a little closer to remind you that, hey, I'm your Father. Did you forget about me? Do you remember me? He literally will put you in situations where you have no other choice but to call on Him, but to trust in Him, but to believe in Him. So the situations and the seasons that we find ourselves in are never actually in vain. They are there for a purpose, and trust God's purpose in our lives. Trust God to pull through. Trust God to take us where He has placed in our hearts. Like I said, God will never put a dream, a goal, or anything or an idea in your mind for no reason. And also trust when God says no, it means He has better for you. Or the no means just not yet. The time is not right. You are not ready yet. And trust in that. Trust that God always does what's best for us. He does not do things to hurt us. He does not do anything to harm us. But He does things to build us. He does things to give us a future that we are praying for. Every time we ask, we seek, we knock. God said, once you ask, you seek, you knock, you will find. He will answer that door. He will open it for you, and He will answer you. But we must remember that God won't always answer us and give us the things the way we perceive it. He's going to do what He does best. And what He does best is what's best for us. So trust in Him. I hope this message has uplifted your spirits, if you are in a waiting season, if you are waiting on God to do something or deliver you from something, I hope it's a word of encouragement to you. I hope it's something that you find and you rest in it. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.